Bloodborne's world is as unpredictable as it can get. 11 years later, I still don't understand half of its story, and I don't think I ever will. However, if I were to mention an even more unpredictable aspect of this game, that would be how people behave in online PvP.
What the hell?
The moment you ring that bell, you best be ready because anything can happen. So, I've decided to invade exactly 61 players and record my experience to see if the online community shifts towards an honorable combat style, where you get wholesome interactions, or if I would just get grinded to paste the milliseconds the host sees my red invader tinge. First of all, before analyzing the 3 archetypes of characters I've ran into, I would like to say what I consider to be a good duel in this game. Bloodborne is a bit of a black sheep because it has no PvP sign to duel a person who's willing to participate in a 1v1, as in Dark Souls and Elden Ring. Here, everything is unwarranted. You can set up passwords, but for that, you must be in contact with the other players, so there can't be a casual 1v1 where I voluntarily summon a random player to fight. That is a bit of a problem, because people tend to react better when they don't feel like someone's trespassing their privacy. But still, if I had to say what means to have a good fight, that would be point number 1, bowing, or any emote before you start. That's basically the Mario Kart 3, 2, 1, go to show the other player you're ready to start. Mashing L1 to spam the trick weapon animation also works. If I emote you, and you try to hit me while my head's down, I can't help judging you. Point number 2. Let's try to be fair. In these games, it's practically impossible to come out on top in a 1v3 unless you start using gravity and mobs as your allies, which can lead to some funny moments, but the invasion overextends itself too much. Do you know that joke that goes like, I was walking near an alley and I saw 3 people beating up a man. I rushed in to help. The poor man didn't stand a chance against the 4 of us. Try not to be that guy. And finally, for point number 3, I'm not keen on healing during these duels. For these invasions, I had to create a low-level character to be in the correct threshold to invade players in certain levels. I mean, you won't find anyone in Yarnum nowadays if you're level 120. The issue is, this new character doesn't have 500 vials stacked in his storage. So I would rather not have 18-minute duels every time I invade someone, just because both players can heal at least 20 times. I would deplete my stock within 4 invasions if not for the glorious Kumfk dungeon that gave me enough echoes to have 4 generations of hunters stocked full of vials. I won't take that 3rd point into account that much because I know it's more of a me thing, and I also know you can parry a player if you time your shot correctly as they're going for the heal, although the connection doesn't help me much with this. I just think it's nice not to have to jump into the void or travel to and back from the Hunter's Dream, all to have my consumables restocked after every battle. But with my pockets full of cheated blood, I rang the Sinister Bell 61 times, and here is what I found. Chapter 1. The Wholesome Duelist. This is the type of player that makes an invasion something beautiful to watch. Not only is he bowing and saluting, but he's so damn well-mannered that you, as the invader, will let him search for proper terrain for the battle, free from enemy NPCs and hazards like the brain of Mensis. Sometimes these fellas are way too good for their own sakes, which means they end up dying while trying to clear the floor for having a good old duel. The game that popularized the genre isn't called Kind Souls for a reason, you know? Inside of all that good, there must be some evil, or you'll end up being chewed and spat out. These guys don't hide, and they know that if you, as the host, keep moving around, especially in a wide area like Mensis Middle, it'll be hard for the invader to find you, so they sit still in a common open area, waiting for you to show up. They bow before and after the invasion ends, which is the utmost sign of respect. One good reason as for why they behave this way could be that they've played these games before. If you're a Souls veteran, you'll know what type of etiquette is expected from those duels, and how little it means to die in Bloodborne, exceptionally if you're close to a lamp. Since nothing is at stake, they won't act like they're in survival mode, pulling up all the stunts to get rid of you. Like this guy, who started the fight as a 2v1, yet he never healed, which gave me a fair chance to fight back in spite of being at a disadvantage. Right after him, I invaded a hunter who was throwing hands with Yurie. If I were a cunt, I would have joined in, but I sat down and waited for him to be done with her. He approached me, bowed, and with 2 weapon tricks, we knew we were ready to throw down. He was a very defensive player, maybe even a parry fisher, and he got one out of it. Despite never healing, we were going at each other's throats for 2 minutes, which for me is more than enough for a duel. Sometimes, while playing with a character who is a few levels higher, I ran into people who were really good at this game. I felt like this hunter was trolling me as the fight progressed. I sensed that he was trying to lure me to the ledge so he could push me, but thanks to Beast Roar, I was the one doing the pushing. Classic Fromsoftware banana peel type of slip. You think you're not falling, but then the void sucks you in for whatever reason. Had this been Call of Duty, he would have sent me a DM full of slurs saying how lucky I got with gravity being on my side. If I had to call out one of the most wholesome interactions during this experiment, I would say making a friend through invasions was not on my bingo cards for this year. He noticed I was a little hesitant to continue the fight because he was healing, and I didn't want to have 20-minute invasions as I mentioned before, because I didn't want a single invasion to eat up half my hard drive. Seeing my hesitation, he actually sent me a friendly message explaining that healing is just part of the modern Bloodborne meta. After a little discussion, he told me he could get me in a PvP group, where people have been playing almost since the game's launch, which is crazy, filled with honorable and experienced players, including him, who taught me a few tricks that I didn't know, like a way to trigger a spell instantly after sheathing the Chikage. For the legitimacy of this video, I refused to participate in the duels they have going on because it's not spontaneous, and these hunters are the epitome of good duelists, which would be the purpose of analyzing the real state of the game. Chapter 2. The Elusive Hunter. I know for a fact I've run past at least one person sporting the Messenger's Gift outfit. In case you don't know, it's a tool that allows you to blend in as those little messengers holding notes on the floor. I'm saying this because I've invaded a couple of people and they were nowhere to be found, and I just ran around for minutes upon minutes and no sign of them. The good thing is, I'm happy to say this is my least seen or not seen type of enemy in these invasions. Out of the many invasions I've done, this has happened twice or so. Another type of player is the one who runs away, and there are many methods of doing so. It can be physically, where they hold circle and just try to sprint away from you. In this case, you have to outwit them. For instance, this guy took the lower path in Mensis middle. I knew I wasn't catching him up before he got to the boss, so I cut him off on the other side, where he had me in front of him and the shadows of Yharnam chasing him at his back. Needless to say, he got blended into soup. This other half-human being spent 10 minutes fighting me next to the lift that takes you to the wet nurse. When he noticed that he was on the receiving end of the rear spanking, he bolted towards the lift and entered the boss fog. I gotta be honest, that got me mad for a second. This hunter clearly didn't have the skill to beat the nurse hitless, yet he ran away simply because he didn't want to give me the kill. I knew he was going to die either way, but I wanted to be the one landing the death blow. He was so petty that he preferred to let the boss sit on his face instead of allowing the invader to get the satisfaction of a win. Ginger Gato is another runaway. That's a very fitting character name for such a scaredy cat. Poor guy using the Blades of Mercy in PvP, no wonder things are going badly. As a last survival tactic, he ran away, towards 2 winter lanterns. You can imagine how successful he was at it. And I get an spectacle to celebrate my victory? What have I done to deserve such a celebration, my lord? Bergenworth is a good place to get some occasional invasions if you're tired of Mensis and Frontier. The issue with invading people here is that this is a very small area. It has one of the closest lamps to the fog wall, which means 2 out of 5 invasions here will look like this. And if they don't start the boss fight, they'll stay behind the fog, giving you false hopes that they will approach you to have a duel. The best occurrence so far is being called gay because I'm invading in Bloodborne in 2026. It started as a 1v2, then Yurie joins the fight. We dealt with his NPC summon, and then he ran away because he thought I was going to gank him. And I don't blame him for thinking this, Yurie is really strong. I followed him, he de-aggroed her, and finally we started a jolly 1v1 invasion. I hit him with the mist so he couldn't heal, and guys, witness the insane size of this hunter's brain. I'm talking about bigger than the brain of Mensis type of size. He got hit on the face with the mist. The glass was shattered right on his jaw, and of course, he tries to heal when in half health. His hunter performed the helpless butt scratch animation, realized his medical insurance was revoked, and immediately turned into the road runner. Unfortunately for him, you can't outrun the horizontal reach of a tricked saw spear. Naturally, he hopped straight onto PSN to send me the incredibly loving message you see on screen. The third and final method of running away is to simply exit to the menu. I've been getting quite a few invasions where, once the loading screen ends, a message pops up saying session lost. And I don't think that is happening because of actual connection issues. I just think people are running away because that's a really easy method to bypass invaders. And the best thing about it is that you won't even be punished whatsoever. Act 3. The world versus you. While not being a particularly frequent case, I wanted to make a point for the people who try to win by throwing bodies at you. Bergenworth, once more being the cradle of cowards, brought me a specimen who went all in with the 3v1 in a location where, once again, the worst thing that can happen to you is walking 3 steps to recover your souls and 3 more to get to the boss. When I invaded this gamer, he had already summoned the Madara's twin, and Yurie was dead, so no backup. While I was slashing at the summon, he ran away to summon Henrik. If you didn't know, he's a hunter you can summon for this fight if you help Aileen in Cathedral Ward. Henrik, living up to his appearance versus you and Aileen, is a damn tank. Not only he's got the HP department covered, but he can also heal. Many times. I think I counted between 8 and 10 times. The fight was a big back and forth because I wanted to get rid of Henrik before going for the host. And the host was playing very defensively, using Henrik to get my attention while he tried to land some hits from behind. With this duel, I realized that the Soulsverse is more connected than I'd had ever thought. I mean, I was fighting the giant rat from Lordran's sewers. Every time he noticed I stepped back not to get surrounded and Henrik was pushing after me, he retreated to get Henrik back towards him. If you don't know, in this game, NPC summons will fight anything in their path as long as your character is near. If you go too far, they will drop what they're doing and start jogging back to you. I noticed that and managed to trap Henrik, after which he was as good as dead. However, after getting rid of the 2 NPCs, I had drained my resources, and sadly, I lost the fight. The dude even had the gall to aura walk towards me as if he hadn't been hiding behind 2 human shields 7 minutes ago. This was hilarious. Shout out to Chocoman, who saw I could have pressured him against the shadow that was raining fire up on him, but I didn't as a show of generosity, and in spite of that, pushed against me even though I was bowing down to confirm whether he was ready to start the fight. Don't worry, fellow hunters, he got what he deserved. And also shout out to Mayro for taking advantage of someone else's manners to get a cheap backstab. That was dirty, and the worst part is, this can be passed as a newbie mistake, like someone who doesn't know about these rules, because he was obviously a veteran in this game. Do you want to know how I know it? Because a newbie wouldn't try to use Augur of Ebrietas behind you after you visceral attack an enemy just to get a visceral on their own. He was clearly a veteran, taking advantage that I was busy with a blood-drunken hunter and trying to troll me with the Gatling gun. But don't worry, comrades, as the clown he is, he met his fate in the goofiest of manners.
You want the fucking brawl? Calm down, Snevik, as for Danny G, I'll come out of the house and I'll break your fucking legs!
So, is Bloodborne's PvP holding up alright after 11 years? Well, overall, the experience I've had fighting other people has been a solid 8.5 out of 10. As I mentioned before, there were instances where people behaved in a spineless way, when there was no need to do so. But I'm happy to say that most of the fights went well and were very entertaining, and I'm not even that much of a PvP enthusiast in Soulsborne games. I tend to avoid this aspect of the games entirely unless there is a Covenant achievement tied to it. And even then, sometimes I prefer to farm the items offline. But oddly enough, I've had a lot of fun invading people in Bloodborne, since in general they behaved incredibly well. Additionally, the fact that trick weapons are so damn satisfying is a huge plus. However, I must say that being an 11-year-old game hasn't done it any favors. If you're not looking for a fight in Nightmare Frontier or Nightmare of Mensis, be ready to spend 20 minutes or more to find a person. That is, if you ever find anyone. And then have that person be one of those who sprint towards the boss to kick you out of their world as soon as they see the message saying they're being invaded. I even searched for a glyph called his NGR3, which was a fight club that people had going on to find invasions sooner and guarantee they were fighting an experienced PvP hunter. I joined it, waited for 1 hour, and no sign of a single hunter. In other words, the game is kind of deserted nowadays if you're trying to get something going on outside of the same 3 areas I mentioned before. Bergenworth, Mensis, Frontier, and maybe Castle Kenninghurst. The fact that once the host of the world kills the Bell Maiden, he's out of invasion territory doesn't help finding new players either. I've also been playing Dark Souls 3 PvP recently, a game that is literally only 1 year older than Bloodborne, and I got many more invasions there for this exact reason. All it takes to be in invasion territory is to be embered. It's true that the game prioritizes hosts with a summon or two, but just because you're going solo doesn't mean you're out of the frying pan, which offers plenty more opportunities for PvP. Another thing that I found a little annoying is that gems play a huge role in the damage you deal to some people. Thanks to the friend I mentioned before, I discovered that if you ever see a player using the Holy Moonlight sword without tricking it, it must mean they've stacked the sword with gems that increase thrust damage. Pair this gem dependence with the fact that some people have been playing this game religiously for a long time, and you'll see yourself drawing the short straw very often. After creating the low-level character to see if I found more people, I started winning combats much more, mainly because these fights became a test of skill, and not of who had the best gems embedded on their weapons. Although I should probably increase my vitality a little more. What about you? Are you still invading in Bloodborne nowadays? Let me know about your experience. I'll be reading you. This video will be part of an ongoing series about analyzing the PvP experience in every Soulsborne game, which means eventually when I finish studying all of them, I'll decide which game has the best and the worst PvP etiquette/experience. For my next video, I'll be doing something new. As many of you have left your personal mistakes in the comment section of my top 5 worst mistakes series, I'll be making a community top 5 ranking them from least popular to most popular according to the amount of thumbs up your mistakes have. Thank you for dropping by and see you in the next one. Bye!